Back with Geo again. It's becoming a little bit of a habit, isn't it, this week? But let's be fair, we've both been sat on our asses, completely bored by the international break. And I don't know, Geo, it's felt like a boring international break. Have Scotland played at all?
Yeah, we won both our games, thank you.
All right, fair enough.
Beat Israel 3-2, which was extremely emotional and toyed with my nerves. Went 1-0 down, 1-1. Then we conceded a goal about a minute later, 2-1 down. Made it 2-2. And the second goal went to VAR for about 3 minutes. Then we got the goal given. Then we scored in the 92nd minute to win against Israel. Then we played the Faroe Islands on Tuesday, and it was 0-0 for 85 minutes.
Wow.
And we got the win.
2 late winners. Okay, fair enough. You've had right, fine. You've had an exciting.
We play Moldova next, and if we win, we're in the playoffs for the World Cup.
Well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, well that should be it's good. I hope you make it. I really do. England's we won't worry too much about England because we're here to talk about Declan Rice. But Declan Rice did play for England. How did you think he played? Did you watch it?
No, it was on the same time as Scotland.
Where's your priorities, man? Well, England were pretty limp. It has to be said. They struggled, really. I felt, certainly watching Rice, that he missed having Phillips there. Rice played fine, by the way. Rice, there was nothing wrong with that at all. But Southgate tried to put everybody in there. So he had Mount next to him. Didn't really work, to be honest with you. Grealish was playing and Foden. Grealish was substituted. Grealish was England's best attacking player and Southgate substituted him. And it was really silly. And they really sort of laboured to this draw. And funny enough, we'll talk about Rice in a second. Harry Kane, there are 2 players. Okay, one of them much more publicly wants out. But I think it's fair to say Declan Rice wouldn't mind if Man City came and bought him. Let's say that at least. You know, he'd be very respectful to West Ham, but he'd wave goodbye and off he would go. And certainly he's made it clear, his representatives made it clear, and this will feed into what we're going to talk about, that he doesn't want to sign a new contract at West Ham. Then but he's carried on with his business. With Harry Kane, you're seeing a husk of a player. You're seeing a shadow of his former self. I don't think he's scored a Premier League goal. This is the golden boot holder, I think. He's got one through.
Against Wolves.
I think it was for Tottenham, was it? Okay, fine.
I think it was a pen.
Was it? Okay.
I think it was a pen against Wolves.
Fine, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's really, really, and I tell you what, it's massively impacted England. And I felt that Southgate, the game wasn't good enough to do a video about England on its own, so we'll just mention it there. But I felt that Southgate was really caught between a rock and a hard place of him being loyal to his captain and actually getting this guy off. And I can say no more than Ollie Watkins looked better when he came on as a very, very late substitute. But anyway, the reason for this video...
Can I just interrupt? I'll tell you what. I've seen the fallout from the England thing. I haven't seen the game. I watched the highlights. It took about 30 seconds. And I've seen the fallout from people about Harry Kane and stuff and Southgate and that. What I will say, Mikel Antonio really has made a bad career decision to play for Jamaica. He's played for an hour for Jamaica. Had he not played that, he would have been in contention for a call-up this time out. He would have been in contention. He may not have got it, but after that game, he would had he continued his form between now and the next international break, which is 4 weeks away, he would surely be in the running for the England team. And he didn't even go to Jamaica this one round, which I think is the right decision. As a West Ham fan, I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
But that 1 hour for Jamaica, what a bad career move that is, because he could have been in the England squad, if not this time, next time, just through default, because of Harry Kane's form, because there's just not... Calvert-Lewin's injured and there's not many other options. Ollie Watkins is good. Ings is getting on a bit as well and not quite hitting it off at Aston Villa. There was an opportunity for Antonio and he's completely blocked it by representing. I understand why he's done it. He wants to play international football. But
I hadn't even given it any thought. As of course you are. Yeah, I do understand why he's doing it. He was not even putting with a sniff. There was no indication from Southgate he'd be used, but you're absolutely right. And particularly in a game like that, where actually you need something different, I think he would have got on if he was on the bench. He was scratching around Southgate, didn't know what to do at all. That's really, I hadn't given that any thought at all. But we're here to talk about Declan Rice. Before we do talk about Declan Rice, let me please point you in the direction of the OneFootball app. You can download it from the link below. Geo, where are you? There he is.
I'm behind the OneFootball logo.
Sneaking behind the OneFootball app. It's free to download. Great supporters of Hammers Chat, and of course, it's excellent for not only your match day experience, which will put the team lineup straight to your phone. Myself and Geo have just recorded the Everton preview. If you want to go and give that a look later on the main channel, please do. But also, it aggregates all of your West Ham news and your England news, or even your Scotland news, all into one place. You just specify at the start whether you're an England fan, Scotland fan, West Ham fan, Everton fan, whatever it may be, and it puts all the news together for you. Maybe, just maybe, we might see an article popping up there at some point in the near future about how Antonio regrets joining Jamaica, although that would be, I think, certainly a little bit of a mistake from a diplomacy point of view. Right, Gio, Newcastle serious contenders for Declan Rice's signature?
Not yet. I don't think so. I remember recording a video about a year and a half ago when the rumours about the takeover first come round, and you became public enemy number one in Quayside, where you decided to annoy everybody with a Geordie accent, and you said it wouldn't happen. I was trying to look at it from a curveball, and my reaction was, they're going to go for Declan Rice. It's changed now. I don't think they would get Declan Rice, because we've now got the European football, because Declan Rice is probably in contention for becoming England captain eventually. Maybe not for another year or two, but certainly in 3 years' time, I'd imagine he will wear the captain's armband for England at some point. He's in a good position now, Declan Rice. He's too good for Newcastle. Newcastle would have to spend a heck of a money getting a top manager. We've just seen rumours that Brendan Rodgers has turned down Newcastle. Now, that would have been a very good appointment, but also an achievable appointment. You'd imagine they'd been able to lure Brendan Rodgers, because as a West Ham fan, you're thinking, can they lure Declan Rice with money? Well, they've just not lured the Leicester manager using the same thing. So that would insinuate perhaps they won't manage to lure a person from Leicester City, West Ham. And I think that's it with Declan. Declan Rice is too good for Newcastle now. Should they chuck money at it and go and qualify for European football somehow this season, which they won't do, because they can't spend money until January, they're going to be in a relegation battle when they can buy players. They're going to be going after players to keep them up. That's not Declan Rice. Should next season they qualify for the Europa League, Declan Rice may become a target. But I'll tell you what, Declan Rice may also not be at West Ham at that point. I'm not too worried. I am not too worried. A year ago, 2 years ago, yes, but not anymore, Gonzo. I'm more worried for other players.
Okay, but they're them being in the hunt and in the mix, whether they have a realistic chance of getting him or not, it's not the same as whether they bid for him. Because let's just say that we put the price at 100 million or a 95 million or 105 million, whatever you think it might be. And I think we can put that price on him. Just by Newcastle being in there, it surely drives the price up for the others, because you have to think that Man United are going to be interested, because until they sort out their central midfield, we've just done our preview. We've just discussed our central midfield. We've just discussed Everton's central midfield. I think it's fair to say we're pleased. We're quite impressed with both. Man United is not impressive, actually. And while they still have Fred and McTominay in there, and there's nothing wrong with McTominay, actually, I think he wouldn't be a bad player at West Ham. But he is not he's not a champion, a Premier League winning player. He wouldn't get into Man City's team, wouldn't get into Liverpool's team, wouldn't get into Chelsea's team, which means he shouldn't really be good enough to get into Man United's team if they want to go where they want to, but where they ultimately strive and desire to be. Declan Rice would, and I just think if City are in, if United are in, they might be able to play one off against the other. But I think if Newcastle, they're saying, oh, don't forget us too, here's our 100 million, then it may well just persuade those others to pay the going rate, or pay the asking rate, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you'll see a bidding war. I don't think the price will go up. I think you might see a matching war, which is we will pay the 100 million as well. But the difference is when Man City and Man U is they look at Newcastle and go, good luck, lads. If we both offer the same, he's coming here.
Yes.
He's not going to go to Newcastle. The only advantage Newcastle have is if they price them out, which is we will pay 120 for Declan Rice, and the other ones go, well, that's too much, we're out. And all of a sudden, Rice has got two options, West Ham and Newcastle. I'm still not convinced he'd go to Newcastle. I'm still not. The fact that, and this sounds really weird, but the one good thing about Rice rejecting contracts with West Ham shows he is not money motivated. yet. Because if he was, he would sign that new deal with us. He would get, I assume, a relatively large wage increase, probably not quite doubling his wages, but not far off it. Doubling his weekly.
But you can't mention doubling in front of Declan Rice. He's left that.
Don't get them jokes in the OneFootball app,
You
do you? That's why it's a good app. But what was I saying until you put me off? Oh, his wages.
Wages, money orientated.
The fact he didn't sign a new deal with West Ham would suggest he puts his footballing ambition, if you like, ahead of money, and that's why I think Newcastle would struggle to lure Declan. They might say we'll pay 150 grand a week. He'd shrug and say, I can get out of West Ham if I want to. If I was to walk into David Sullivan and say I want 150 grand, I will sign a 5-year deal. Sullivan would pay it. As much as people dislike Sullivan, I understand why. I'm not a fan myself, but I think Sullivan knows getting Declan to do that contract would then mean he is worth 100 million minimum going forward. So yeah, I'm just not worried about the Newcastle thing at all. The only thing it might do, like you said, Newcastle bid 100 million might speed up the other clubs, which is, we were going to wait a year to sign Declan. We're going to have to go get him now. That may be what it's going to do, but I'm sort of already resigned to losing him anyway. So
yeah, I found it's been really interesting watching what's been coming out of Newcastle anyway, and I'm not convinced because they're all sort of going on about this 330 billion, the richest club in the world, which is basically the worth of this fund. But the more you look into this fund is there for when the oil runs out. It's there to for them to invest globally to create a return. That's a lot of it is invested in property, and it's there to create a return. So as as Saudi Arabia is still a rich country when the oil runs out, they've invested well. So I'm not sure that they're going to chuck billions at this. I don't think they're going to spend what Man City have spent. Not sure that's going to happen. Also, it's quite interesting actually. I was on Talk Sport yesterday, and they it's quite funny because I was listening to Newcastle fans. We hate TalkSport. We hate TalkSport. TalkSport are against us, which is obviously something that us as West Ham fans have said many times. Arsenal fans say it, Tottenham fans say it, and Chelsea fans say it. So I think the moment you start to get a little bit of newsworthiness in the reporting of your club, I think you start to believe that TalkSport hate you. So I just think it's a sort of rite of passage, really. But TalkSport were reporting that Amanda Staveley hadn't sacked Steve Bruce yet because she was waiting for permission from the Saudi investment fund. I thought, that is interesting, isn't it? That's interesting. If that's going to happen, is she running a club? And I know she's the figurehead of the club, but if they're going to be waiting upon things like that, it is going to be interesting. And you're absolutely right. And something, a point that somebody made in the comments, how motivated are the current management of Newcastle going to be, and how motivated are the players going to be? Because it's not a case of them getting to January and being in a relegation scrap. It's October. It's not even the middle of October yet. There's a long way to go before that transfer window. And if Newcastle is full of players who think we're not really going to be involved, they're going to bring someone else, and they are going to be linked with everybody. They've actually got to get to January still in contention. They don't want to be getting to January and be bottom of the league. I mean, I think that's a really interesting dynamic, actually.
Yeah, I think they're going to be after players. If they're going to sign anyone from West Ham in January, it'll be Yarmolenko. It'll be someone like Yarmolenko out of desperation. They need to get in to stay in the Premier League. They need to stay in the Premier League because it'd be how embarrassing and how much of a shamble and how bad financially would it be if they got relegated. They can't entertain that idea. They need to get players in. But they very much need to sort of walk before they run kind of thing. And I'm seeing them linked with the players that everybody else is, Coutinho and stuff. And you think, good luck with that. The only way you're getting Coutinho is if you start paying him $250,000 a week or something stupid. And long term, that's not a transfer strategy. You can't do that long term. So they need to get in players like Jesse Lingard, who are a bit broken. Or there's just something not quite right with them, and hope that that's enough to keep them up. And they need to get the manager in, because I've seen the thing that they're playing Tottenham on Sunday. It's sold out. They sold out their ground. Well, fantastic. Well done. Enjoy it. But you're still going to be watching Steve Bruce with the same players as you were 2 weeks ago. It's not going to change. The owners have changed, but the football you're away to watch remains the same. And I almost felt sorry for the Newcastle players. You see some players tweeting and buzzing about the sign over and the takeover. I'm like, mate, you're gone. You're not going to.
It's a tough team talk. That's a tough team talk for Steve Bruce.
Yeah, actually. But he's on borrowed time. He knows he is. It's not even like you said. He's not even wanted there. He's unwanted. Just that not only has Amanda got one hand tied behind her back, which is difficult, she's got both hands tied behind her back. It's a very difficult job, and I don't think it's going to be the quick fix everyone thinks. I think everybody expects Newcastle to sign 15 players in January for 80 million apiece, and all of a sudden they're going to have the best team in the Premier League. Not the case. If you go back to Man City, you go back to Chelsea, they have to sign Scott Parker, Damien Duff, Steve Sidwell. Chelsea signed Steve Sidwell.
Sorry about that. Where did that come?
Yes, you're clicking on the wrong things.
Sorry. It was you saying this is Steve Sidwell. There you go. Chuck, have some more advertising.
That's who they have to sign. They've got to sign players that are decent at Premier League level and build slowly. Then they will build slowly. They can't, and this sounds bad, but they can't even get Brendan Rodgers.
Listen, it's gone on a little bit too. He's looking at his team. He's looking at Tillemans. He's looking at Ricardo Pereira. He's looking at all these brilliant players. And he's probably thinking, well, it would take me 4 or 5 years to build a comparable team that I've got at Leicester, at Newcastle. There's just that. These are managers. He ain't got 4 years to waste in his career.
And neither does Declan Rice.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a good finish. I should have had the bloody ends. There you go. That was a good finish, Geo. There it is. Oh, I've been so terrible. Geo, thank you very, very much for joining me on this one. We're back on... What time are we back on Sunday?
1 o'clock, live at 1.
Are you sure? I don't think we are. I thought it was
5 to 1. It's a 2
5
o'clock
to 1.
kickoff.
Brilliant. There you go. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and please share the video.